次はですね、シンガポールからなんですけれども、日本も電力が自由化されまして、必ずしも東京電力の電気を使わなくても、いろんな会社のですね、今回のスポンサーにもいらっしゃるのかな、例えば東急さんとかも電力会社とかやってらっしゃいますけど、そういったところからも電力買えるようになりましたが、シンガポールも今年2018年完全電力自由化をされる予定で、電力の需要化とその、使う人と作る人ですね、発電する人をつなぐマーケットプレイスをブロックチェーンを使って実現しようとするところで。
Thank you very much. Hi everyone, good morning. Thank you for having us here. My name is Martin. I'm the COO of Electrify, and this is my colleague. This is Tatsu. So Electrify. Let me set the context for Electrify. What Electrify is. So energy markets all across Asia, in fact many markets around the world, in Europe and so on, the US, have started liberalizing. They're moving from a centralized model into a deregulated model with many players contributing to the space. So many people, different companies can generate power and other companies can sell this power as retailers. Like Japan, for example, you're very familiar. About a year and a half ago, Japan liberalized its markets and today there are 400 over retailers in Japan. So what we did in Singapore, the energy market started liberalizing in 2001. About a year ago, my partner, myself, Julius, is over there somewhere, over there, and we set up the company in March last year as the first energy marketplace in Singapore, and by effect, we are the first electricity marketplace in Southeast Asia. So that's what we did. We've been transacting and doing business since March last year. We're net cash positive and the business has been growing. So what exactly do we do then? We are now going to be the first electricity marketplace built with contracting on the blockchain. We started digitizing all electricity contracts out of Singapore, and what we did next was to find more efficiencies by putting electricity contracts on the blockchain for lower cost of transaction and better processing. So what we did for Electrify Asia was to develop a platform with commercial retail contracts and a P2P energy trading platform for peer-to-peer energy suppliers. So what we did at first, as I said, was we started digitizing all contracts out of Singapore, right? Electricity contracts. And now we're moving them onto smart contracts on the blockchain itself. Now, why we did this was because, very simply put, we all know that when we start executing contracts through smart contracts and agreements and so on, we have better reconciliation, lower costs in payment settlements, and of course all this drive down transactional costs for administration, and of course it reduces a lot of credit risk. And what this means a lot for the consumers and to the producers as well is that a lot of savings and potentially even slightly better earnings for the producers, and that incentivizes the whole ecosystem. Now the thing here is this: we've already started our work in developing all these processes. We've got agreements signed up with one of the largest power companies in Japan. So we're starting to do a POC executed in Singapore, and hopefully we'll bring that over into Japan itself. We've also got an agreement in Singapore signed up with one of the largest power companies there to develop smart contracts for electricity already. So we're already gaining traction in developing all of this. And of course, we're working with a regulator in Singapore to put us in the development sandbox in Singapore itself. So all of these has already been done and we're already executing. Now, what Electrify Asia will do, as I said just now, we first have the marketplace, what we call the marketplace 2.0. Moving forward, what we'll develop next is the peer-to-peer energy trading platform that we call Synergy. So let's talk a bit about peer-to-peer energy trading. Very simply, what it means is that it allows any one of you even, who has the ability to produce power. Maybe you have solar panels on your rooftop, or maybe you've got a small wind turbine somewhere. If you can generate power and you can export that power, someone else that you know can buy that power from you. So to set the context of peer-to-peer energy trading, a lot of ICO projects recently have talked about peer-to-peer energy trading. And the thing here is this: a lot of them talk about microgrids, how it's executed. So I've got to explain what this is. A microgrid is really simple. It's like, think of it as a local area network, a LAN, right? So microgrid is between a few small parties close together and interconnected directly to each other. So settlement is easy, distribution of power is easy, and you can pay any which way you want to pay. You can tokenize that kind of a payment. But the trouble is the microgrids are not scalable. You can have it in a small village, you can have it in an apartment building, but you can't scale it up. And that's a very, very big problem. What we've done is to design a peer-to-peer energy trading platform that operates on a city-wide grid. And that's actually a huge challenge, because imagine if one of you lives in the east side of Tokyo, somebody lives out in the west, and you want to trade power. You want to sell power to your friend who lives out in the west. You can't do that with the old models or the other platforms that the others have designed. What we're designing is a system that you can trade power across a whole national grid. And that's actually very, very significant. So by doing that, you got to realize something as well. Trading power across a national grid, the problem is not the flow of power. It's not the distribution, because we're all plugged into the national grid already. Right now, this building, all the lights, the power comes from the grid. You're already plugged in. So distribution of power is not a problem. Problem is settlement. How do you pay someone or have someone pay you back? That's why we're doing it on a blockchain. So the key to settlement really is this, right? Peer-to-peer energy trading, it's not a new thing, right? All these energy programs tell you that, oh, we invented this. No, they didn't invent this. It's not new. Big utilities have traded power between themselves for decades, for a long, long time. So what's the big deal? Utility companies trade power with each other, but they have lawyers, they have accountants, they have auditors, they have big teams managing all of this stuff. But that's expensive. That's very expensive for everyday guys like you and me. We can't do that. What we're looking to do is actually to move all of these processes into smart contracts, which means it becomes accessible for anyone who wants to be able to trade power. What we're doing in effect is basically we're tokenizing energy. So what that means is this: anyone on the Electrify platform will be able to choose and select who they want to be able to buy and consume power from. They can choose from any producer, renewable energy. You can see the profile of the production, and they can even choose conventional energy plans. Remember the first model that we had? That's what we're already running. We still do conventional energy as well. So what we do essentially is this: we talk about then the token, how we work out in terms of settlement of payment. What our token will be used for will be to cover transactional fees for settlement of all the payments between all the actors in the space, producers and consumers. And because it's a peer-to-peer platform, it can be even traded between a small producer and even a large retailer as well. And you can imagine this system scaling up across to multiple countries and of course a larger population also. So our first phase, we're already in this phase. Phase 1, we have Singapore. To date, we have 27 retailers, a very small island. What we're moving forward to is looking at expansion into countries like Japan, for example. It's a key market for us. We have 400 plus retailers in Japan itself. Then the rest of Asia, what we look at as our backyard, these are the opportunities out of Asia, the rest of Asia. We're looking at Philippines opening in the next 3 to 5 years. We've recently, before Tokyo, we were in Shanghai talking to power businesses over there to look at opening a joint venture up there to expand our business there as well. And of course, the rest of Asia is looking to liberalize too. Then the last thing we'll talk about very, very quickly, I'll move on, is people have asked us, what network are you building all this on? Because you have so many transactions. Can Ethereum handle all this volume? What we're looking to do is working very closely with Omisego to use the Omisego, the scalability solution they're developing. And that essentially, of course, rides on Plasma, right? So that's how we will realize the higher speed, the higher transactional volume, and of course, the much lower cost on every transaction. And I'm done. Thank you.
Great presentation. Thank you very much. So before we leave the stage, actually, he is Japanese representative for this market. So you are already planned the presence, having presence over here in Japan, right?
Yep.
So what you want to do with that is probably the helping the people gain the awareness about the natural preservation or kind of the global warming and those kind of things, or they want to help them make more money through this kind of stuff, or what's your focus on that?
So the thing here really is this, right? A lot of people talk about renewables. And yes, renewable energy like solar, wind, and so on, it's a good thing, and we should have more of it. But the reality here is this: most of the production in the cities we live in, our consumption is so high, most of it comes from conventional energy sources, which is still fossil fuel, right? And that's actually quite necessary because that's stable. It's very, very stable. Imagine if you can, right? Imagine if say 50% of Tokyo's power came from solar, right? So in the daytime, in the sun, you have a lot of power, right? But at night, no power. What happens then? Do your power prices double and you pay more for price at night? So that's the problem. So we tackled it from that perspective. We deal with energy, and on some levels, we treat energy as homogeneous. We don't differentiate between renewables or otherwise. But the great thing is, with that platform, being able to trade incentivizes more people to do solar. Because right now, without a trading platform, without a way for you to export or get value out of it, you don't want to do it.
So everyone can trade the power from the other place, which has no physical connectivity with the
That's
users,
right.
kind of thing, right?
There will be physical connectivity. Physical connectivity is the grid. So we're all plugged into the power cables and network that's already in place. Because every city's got one already. So you plug into the existing network, you don't have to build your own. So we don't get into an architecture play. We don't deal with the infrastructure. We don't have to. We go into a city where two things: one, there's infrastructure, the physical; two, it's liberalized, which means you're able to buy, you're able to sell. The regulation allows you to do that, but there's no mechanism. We are the mechanism. We come in, lay it on top of what the grid does, and that's our settlement process, and that goes on the blockchain.
Okay. So lastly, so when your service will be available here in Japan, and then what kind of what type of users you are targeting right now?
Okay, so the kind of users that should be able to use this, right? It should be open to everybody. Big consumers, small consumers, households, and commercial. And it depends on the regulation in that country. So like in Singapore, for example, we liberalized in 2001, but even up till now, only businesses can buy. By the end of the year, domestic, so homes can buy at the end of the year. So that has to be scaled up. When we're going to come into Japan, that timeline is still a commercial discussion. We're doing our POC in Singapore now. And like I said, it's the largest power company here.
Maybe TIPCO or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Have a round of applause to them. Thank you very much. Electrify from Singapore.